If anyone told Jake Miller that one day, people would scream his name in sold-out arenas, he'd probably laugh, or maybe cry. Because once upon a time, that same man slept under bridges, begged for food, and prayed just to make it through one more night alive. Jake wasn't born lucky. He was born in Detroit, in one of those neighborhoods people only talk about when something bad happens. His mom passed when he was 7. His dad? Never even knew him. The only family left was his mother's younger brother, Uncle Roy. But calling him family was an insult to the word. Roy took Jake in not because he cared, but because he wanted free labor. He made the boy wash cars, mow lawns, and clean the entire house, all for scraps of leftovers. And when Jake was too tired to finish, Roy's belt did the talking. "Don't act weak, boy. The world don't care about weak people," Roy would say, smacking him again. By the time Jake turned 15, he had more bruises than friends. And one night, after another beating over a broken dish, he decided to run. He waited until Roy snored himself to sleep, grabbed a torn backpack, and slipped out the back door. That night, the rain fell hard, soaking him to the bone as he walked aimlessly through the streets. He had nowhere to go, no plan, just fear and freedom swirling in his chest. When morning came, he found himself near a bus station. He sat by the trash bins, shaking, hungry, and exhausted. For the next few months, Jake survived off what he could find: half-eaten burgers, coins from kind strangers, and sometimes nothing at all. He slept behind grocery stores, under bridges, anywhere the cold wouldn't bite too deep. People walked past him like he was invisible. Some sneered, others avoided eye contact, but none stopped to help. He learned quickly that when you're poor, the world moves faster around you, as if you're in slow motion and everyone else is on fast forward. One day, while digging through a dumpster behind a pawn shop, he found something strange: a dusty, half-broken guitar. The strings were rusty, the wood cracked. But to Jake it looked like gold. He didn't know how to play, not really, but his mother used to hum songs when she cooked. He could still remember the rhythm, the feeling of her voice. He decided to keep it. That night, sitting beside a streetlight, he strummed the guitar softly. It sounded awful, but it sounded like something. It was the first time he'd created a noise that wasn't his own cry for help. Days turned into weeks. Jake practiced every night, teaching himself through trial and error. The guitar became his escape, his language. He started playing on the sidewalks downtown, hoping for a few coins. Most people ignored him, but once in a while, someone would stop, smile, nod, drop $1. It wasn't much, but it made him feel seen. One afternoon, as he played outside a coffee shop, an older man in a brown leather jacket stopped. He didn't look like the others. He actually listened. When Jake finished, the man clapped. "You've got soul, kid," he said, pulling out a $10 bill. "Where'd you learn that?" Jake shrugged shyly. "Just myself, I guess." The man smiled. "Name's Carl. Used to play in a band back in the day. Mind if I teach you a thing or two?" That moment changed Jake's life forever. Carl became like the father he never had. Every evening, after closing his repair shop, he'd sit with Jake by the old park bench, showing him chords, rhythm, and the art of feeling music instead of just playing it. "Music isn't just sound, kid. It's pain, joy, truth, all in one," Carl would say. Under Carl's mentorship, Jake grew fast. His fingers moved smoother, his voice became deeper, richer. He started writing his own songs about struggle, love, loneliness, and hope. And soon, people began noticing. One night, a small crowd gathered around him as he performed at his usual street corner. A woman recorded him on her phone and uploaded it online. Within days, that video went viral. "Homeless boy sings his heart out on the streets," the caption said. Jake didn't even know it was online until a stranger recognized him. "Hey, aren't you that guy from TikTok?" He laughed nervously. Maybe." People started showing up just to hear him sing. Some brought food, some brought clothes. For the first time, strangers cared. But Jake never forgot the nights he went hungry or the faces that turned away. A few weeks later, Carl came to him with an idea. "I know some guys who still play in a small band. They need a guitarist. You've got the heart, why not try?" Jake hesitated. Me? In a real band? Why not you? Carl said, smiling. You've already played for the hardest crowd, the streets. So Jake joined. The band was called the Wild Chords. They were small-time gigs at bars, restaurants, and local events. But Jake didn't care about fame. He just loved the music. And every show, he poured his entire soul into every chord, every lyric. Then came the night that would change everything. They were playing at a downtown club. The crowd was small, maybe 50 people, but one of them was a well-known record producer named Marcus Dean. He was scouting for new talent, and Jake's voice caught him instantly. After the show, Marcus approached him. You ever think about going solo? Jake blinked. Solo? Marcus smiled. You've got something rare, kid. Pain in your voice. The kind that sells records. The next few weeks felt like a blur. Meetings. Studio sessions. New clothes. New life. Jake could barely believe it. The same boy who begged for coins was now holding a recording contract. But deep inside, he promised himself one thing. He would never forget where he came from. He called Carl first. You won't believe this. They want to sign me. Carl chuckled proudly. I told you, kid. You were never meant to stay on those streets. You were meant to sing your way out. That night, Jake sat alone in his small apartment, the first real bed he'd ever owned, and cried. Not because he was sad, but because he finally understood something. Sometimes, the world won't give you a hand. You'll have to build your own ladder out of broken strings. He didn't become a millionaire overnight. There were rejections, lost deals, and nights when he doubted himself again. But he kept playing, kept believing, and slowly, painfully, his songs began to climb the charts. One of them, Empty Pockets, Full Heart, hit #1 on Billboard. Fans around the world sang his lyrics, unaware that they were written by a boy who once had to steal bread to survive. Jake had gone from sleeping on sidewalks to sleeping in penthouses. From begging for coins to being paid millions for his concerts. But every time he walked on stage, he'd close his eyes and remember that rainy night he ran away, the boy who refused to quit. Because that was the real victory. Fame changes people. Sometimes for the better. Sometimes it reveals who they truly are. For Jake Miller, fame came like a tidal wave, fast, loud, and unstoppable. Within 2 years of signing his first record deal, he went from playing in bars to performing on late-night TV. His songs were everywhere. The radio, social media, even movie soundtracks. But the higher he climbed, the more he realized that success came with a hidden cost. He was constantly surrounded by people, managers, assistants, promoters, yet he'd never felt more alone. The same fans who once praised his pain now demanded perfection. Every song had to be better than the last. Every photo flawless. Every word controlled. He started missing the simplicity of playing under a streetlight, where music was about heart, not numbers. Carl, his old mentor, still called once in a while, just to check in. How's my superstar doing? He'd ask. Jake would laugh and say, still learning, old man. But deep down, he knew he was losing pieces of himself. Then one day, everything came crashing down. Jake discovered his manager, the one who'd promised to take care of him, had been stealing money from his account for years. Millions gone. His label turned its back on him, the tabloids called him careless, and suddenly, everyone who once said, "We love you," vanished. He was back where he started, broke, broken, and alone. The world that once cheered his name now moved on to the next big thing. Jake tried to fight back, release new music on his own, but depression hit hard. He stopped showing up to interviews, stopped performing, even stopped playing the guitar for a while. The man who once inspired millions couldn't inspire himself anymore. Then, out of nowhere, tragedy struck. Carl passed away. Jake didn't even find out until a week later, through a small-town newspaper headline, "Local music teacher dies peacefully at 74. That night, Jake sat in his mansion, surrounded by gold records and silence. He picked up his old broken guitar, the same one he'd found in a dumpster years ago, and strummed a single note. It buzzed and cracked, but something inside him woke up again. He realized he had lost everything: fame, money, friends, but not music. that was still his. That was his beginning. And Carl's voice echoed in his mind. Music isn't just sound, kid. It's pain, joy, truth, all in one. Jake decided to start over. But this time, not as a star chasing charts. He wanted to help others like him. Street kids, broken souls, dreamers without a chance. He sold most of his luxury cars, closed his mansion, and used the last of his savings to open a small studio in downtown Detroit. He called it the Open Chord. It wasn't fancy, just an old warehouse with second-hand instruments and a neon sign that flickered at night. But the place had spirit. He offered free lessons to kids who couldn't afford them. No judgment. Just music. Word spread quickly. Soon, dozens of teenagers showed up, some homeless, some from foster care, all carrying stories just like his. And for the first time in years, Jake felt alive again. If you are new to our stories, subscribe to join the Whisper House family. He wrote new songs, raw, honest, filled with hope, and released them independently online. He didn't care about money. He just wanted to tell the truth. But the world listened. His new music went viral again. Not because it was trendy, but because it was real. One track, titled Strings of the Broken, became an anthem for dreamers everywhere. It hit 100 million streams in 2 months. Suddenly, Jake was back, but different this time. Wiser. Grounded. Then, something unexpected happened. A tech startup reached out to him. They were developing a music app that used AI to help street performers and unknown artists publish their songs directly. No labels, no middlemen. They wanted Jake to invest and be their brand ambassador. At first he laughed. "I'm no businessman," he said. But when he learned their mission, to give the voiceless a platform, it hit home. He invested. Not just money, but heart. He worked with their engineers, tested their designs, and helped them reach local musicians through his community. And just like that, the app exploded. Within a year, it became one of the most downloaded platforms in the world. Musicians from every corner of the planet, from Africa to Asia, from street corners to subway tunnels, were uploading their songs and being discovered. Jake's face was everywhere again, but this time for a different reason. He wasn't the broke kid or the fallen star. He was the man who helped millions of others rise. When the company went public, his small investment turned into hundreds of millions of dollars. Overnight, Jake became a billionaire. The same man who once begged for coins now owned entire buildings. But you know what he did first with that money? He didn't buy a new car. He didn't throw a party. He rebuilt the Open Chord on a global scale, turning it into a foundation that built music schools for underprivileged kids across the US and beyond. At the grand opening, a reporter asked, "Jake, what does it feel like to go from a beggar to a billionaire?" He smiled, strumming his old broken guitar. "It feels like a second chance. But the real treasure isn't the money, it's the music. It's the people you lift along the way." The crowd went silent. Cameras flashed. And for a moment, Jake felt something he hadn't felt since he was a boy playing on the sidewalk. Peace. He looked up at the stars that night and whispered, "We made it, Carl." Did you take note of these lessons? 1. No one owes you a rescue, but you owe yourself a chance. The world may not help you, but that doesn't mean you're powerless. 2. Pain can be a teacher, not just a punishment. Every hardship you survive shapes your voice, your art, your fire. 3. Never forget the ones who believed in you when nobody else did. Gratitude is wealth no amount of money can replace. 4. Success means nothing if you're the only one eating at the table. True greatness is lifting others as you rise. Jake Miller's story isn't about luck or talent, it's about refusal. Refusing to stay broken. Refusing to let the world define your worth. Refusing to let your pain go to waste. He was once a street beggar. Now, he's a billionaire, not because of what he owned, but because he never stopped playing, even when no one listened. Please subscribe and turn on the bell so that you will get notified when a new story drops tomorrow.